Detroit priest charged with assault, a shocking betrayal of trust. In November 2024, a chilling incident shook the faith of a small congregation in Joliet, Illinois. A Detroit-based priest, known for his high-profile work in exorcisms and Catholic evangelism, was charged with assault after an unthinkable act. During a public relics event at the Queen of Apostles parish, he allegedly used a teenage girl's hair as dental floss, an act so bizarre and disturbing that it left attendees in shock. This video invites true crime enthusiasts to delve deep into this case, unraveling its disturbing details, the fallout for the Catholic Church, and the broader implications for trust and safety in religious spaces. The Queen of Apostles parish in Joliet, Illinois, was hosting a relics tour in November 2024, an event intended for reverence and spiritual renewal. Parishioners gathered to connect with their faith, wholly unaware that what began as a routine visit would escalate into a harrowing headline. During this event, a Detroit priest, well known in religious circles for his expertise in exorcisms and his media presence via a popular podcast, became the center of an incident that defied comprehension. Witnesses reported the priest inexplicably using a teenager's hair as dental floss, crossing moral, ethical, and boundary lines expected of clergy members. The unimaginable nature of the act left attendees horrified and confused, and authorities were immediately informed. What could have prompted a trusted spiritual guide to behave in such a manner remains a pressing question as investigations unfold. The accused priest's background only makes the incident more unsettling. Based in Detroit, he was regarded as a well-respected figure within certain Catholic communities. His frequent discussions about exorcisms, spiritual warfare, and his role in a well-followed podcast earned him recognition far beyond his parish. To some, this man represented the embodiment of dedication to faith, delving into some of the Catholic Church's most mysterious and compelling practices. His focus on exorcisms brought a unique lens to his ministry, captivating audiences who sought spiritual defense against evil forces. But beneath this facade of piety, questions arise about whether cracks in his character were overlooked as he rose to public prominence. On that fateful day in November, the priest's behavior shattered all expectations for decorum and sanctity. The incident involving the teenage girl, whose personal details remain protected for privacy reasons, altered the serene atmosphere of the relics tour into something dark and disturbing. Witnesses brought forward accounts detailing how the priest desecrated a moment meant for reverence by engaging in this strange and humiliating act. Some attendees initially struggled to believe what they had seen. It seemed too shocking to comprehend. Yet the incident could not be ignored, and law enforcement soon arrived at the scene. The priest was taken into custody, charged with assault, and his actions triggered immediate suspension from all pastoral duties. While awaiting his legal proceedings, his once revered place within the church began to splinter under the weight of public and institutional condemnation. The faith community at the Queen of Apostles parish was left reeling. For many, clergy members were figures of trust, safety, and moral integrity. To witness alleged misconduct of this nature left parishioners grappling with an array of emotions: anger, disbelief, sadness, and betrayal. Beyond the immediate congregation, the incident sparked outrage across the wider Catholic community. True crime enthusiasts tracking this case might note how betrayal of trust amplifies the impact of such incidents. Religious spaces are meant to be sanctuaries, yet this act desecrated that sacred bond, raising questions about broader patterns of clergy misconduct and accountability. Amid the discussions surrounding the priest, one voice has been largely absent: the teenage girls. Whether due to privacy concerns or the intensity of public scrutiny, little about her perspective has been shared. Despite her silence, her role remains central. Her trust in a figure of authority was broken during an event intended to foster faith. The psychological and emotional toll on her and her family cannot be overstated. For many victims of priest misconduct, it isn't just the action itself, but the ripple effect of trust betrayed, safety shattered, and faith shaken that leaves lasting scars. In response to the incident, the church swiftly imposed a suspension on the priest, pending further investigation. Officials from the Diocese of Detroit released a statement condemning the act and emphasizing their commitment to cooperating fully with law enforcement. However, for many critics, these formalities aren't enough to address a deeper systemic issue. How was an individual capable of such behavior allowed within the ranks of ministry? Were there red flags that went unnoticed or ignored? As the broader Catholic Church grapples with its history of addressing clergy misconduct, questions about preventative measures and safeguarding vulnerable members arise once again. This case underscores an alarming truth. Even spaces designed for moral and spiritual growth are not immune to human failings. Incidents like this erode the sanctity of religious spaces where parishioners, especially children, should feel protected from harm. Safety protocols within religious institutions come under scrutiny during scandals of this magnitude. Are there effective systems in place to monitor clergy behavior? What safeguards could help ensure such acts never have the chance to occur again? These questions resonate with urgency among both the faithful and those who have become weary of unending church-based scandals. As gripping and bizarre as this case is, media outlets have covered its developments with vigor. The priest's arrest became a lightning rod for discussions about the Church's accountability and the fallibility of its representatives. Social media ignited with commentary ranging from devoutly Catholic voices condemning the act to skeptics criticizing systemic failures within church institutions. True crime enthusiasts in particular have dissected every detail of the event, finding the mix of spirituality and crime especially intriguing. For these audiences, cases like this expose the darker underbelly of revered institutions. The priest's legal journey is only beginning. Assault charges, especially those entailing disturbing behavior like this case, carry significant weight. Lawyers representing the victim are expected to advocate for justice not only in legal terms, but also in the broader context of holding trusted figures accountable. The outcome of this case will likely hinge on witness testimonies, evidence gathered from the relics tour, and the defense, if any, presented by the priest. Regardless of the verdict, the case itself will leave an indelible mark on the public's perception of clergy and their actions. As with similar cases of clergy misconduct, this incident raises unavoidable questions about power, trust, and accountability in religious institutions. Clergy members hold unique authority over their communities, yet when this authority is abused, it becomes a dangerous breach that affects not just individuals, but entire congregations. Cultural attitudes toward these incidents often swing between outrage and resignation. How many more cases like this need to arise before sweeping changes are made? What structural safeguards will prevent successors from abusing their sacred roles? These cultural and ethical considerations demand thoughtful reflection. Sadly, stories like this priest's transgression are not isolated. The Catholic Church has long grappled with scandals involving clergy members abusing their positions. Cases over the decades highlight patterns where predatory behavior slipped through the cracks of oversight, leaving victims in their wake. While each incident has its unique context, those tracking this case might see echoes of a broader pattern at play. By analyzing these patterns, institutions can, at least in theory, learn valuable lessons about reform, vigilance, and accountability. But as always, the gap between theory and practice looms large. The future of this Detroit priest remains uncertain as his case unfolds in court. His suspension signifies a serious response from church leadership, but whether or not it spurs meaningful change in broader contexts remains to be seen. Moreover, the incident has forced the faithful and skeptical alike to re-examine questions of spiritual authority, human fallibility, and the safeguards necessary to protect the vulnerable. For the victim and her family, the case's closure might bring some sense of peace, but the emotional scars are likely to endure. For the Church, this is yet another reminder that trust is fragile and must be guarded zealously. The case of the Detroit priest charged with using a teenage girl's hair as dental floss is as bizarre as it is disheartening. It highlights the betrayal of trust that can occur even in the most sacred of spaces, shaking communities and tarnishing the reputations of institutions meant to offer guidance and solace. For true crime enthusiasts, this story provides not just a disturbing narrative, but also a chance to critically engage with issues of power, accountability, and morality within religious institutions. As the legal proceedings and public discourse around this case unfold, the questions left behind may prove as haunting as the event itself.